Yo, what is going on YouTube? Today we're going to be checking in on the fall 2024 anime season, what I can easily say is one of the greatest seasons ever. Now, here's why. Last season, dude, this entire year has been phenomenal. We're eating good. It's amazing. It's a great time. We have way too much anime to watch, but we're degenerates, so we're gonna watch as many as we can. It's like a competition with ourselves. Like, how many can we watch this week? Last anime season, it was phenomenal, but when we did the check-in, it was like, what, like 6 animes? And even then, like, some of them were kind of like, some sleeper picks that, not a lot of people or not everyone might agree with or like. But this time, we're literally talking about, like, what, 12 or 13? Yes, 12 or, like, 13 different animes that the majority of people would probably really like. It is absolutely insane what this season is. It is on another level. I don't know how any of us can keep up with it. Barely, but trying. So let's get right into it. Which one do you want to go with first? Should we start with the ones we talk about on the podcast? If you guys don't know, we actually have an anime podcast. Episodes drop every Tuesday. We just recorded it. Episode 37. It was a lot of fun. So you guys want to check that out? Link in the description, or it's just on this channel. But I think we should start with the animes that we talk about on there every single week, and then kind of get into the ones that are new for the season. Should we start with Blue Box then?
Yeah, that's cool. I think they're like some of the more popular ones, like people might already know about or have an
Mm-hmm.
idea. And then get into the lesser known ones. I think Blue
Yeah.
Box is a masterpiece, dude. I know it's in like Shonen Jump every week, which I didn't know it was like that big and the
Mm-hmm.
manga was that successful. But that explains, why it got brought to Netflix. And Netflix has done a very, very good job with it. I mean, there's like tons of really crisp scenes. The art's really good, and even the story is just like very down to earth and relatable, and like, in a way comedic, but like funny because it is relatable. And I feel like most people have lived through some of these situations. I absolutely love Blue Box.
Yeah, I absolutely love it too. To be honest, as we get into this as well, I'd hard recommend pretty much every single one of these. Like, they are like some top tier goddamn anime. Like, Blue Box really hits it on the head when it comes to animation. The art style is gorgeous. It is so aesthetically pleasing. Not only is it a sweet, wholesome, adorable, romance anime, but we also have that sports side of it, which is just really intriguing, really cool to watch. Especially, seeing the competition. It's sick. It's a lot of cool on that. It's really cool on that end, and also it has some really funny scenes. I always find myself, either just dying of singleness, laughing my ass off, or just very intrigued and blown away from the action side of it. So I absolutely love it. It's really, really good. And yeah, Netflix is killing it. It is a Netflix exclusive. But yeah, let's kind of go into Blue Lock then. You guys probably know Blue Lock. Season 2 has dropped this season. The start of it was a little rough in my opinion. People complained about the animation. People were kind of talking about, well, I was kind of talking about, how it didn't seem like it had the twists, the turns, the grit, the bite that Blue Lock comes with. But as we just dropped, what is it, episode 6 or so, getting into the U20 game, there isn't on another level. It's back to its Blue Lock. You know what I mean? It's back to where it was in season 1. There's so much action that's gonna be had. It makes soccer look like the coolest sport in the world. The animation took a step up, and I mean, just so many opportunities for twists, turns, and what the hell moments. So Blue Lock season 2 seems to have really started to take off, and I cannot wait to see the way it ends. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Season 1 was phenomenal. If you're kind of taking a step back with season 2, but you're like, this isn't really hitting the way it was, catch back up. What do you think about Blue Lock this season?
I definitely think some of the critiques were fair. I think they could have spent a little more time on animation in the beginning because those games were really good with like the top six and the guys trying to break into that, Blue Lock 11.
Mm-hmm.
Season two's been extremely like entertaining as far as like the plot and the story, kind of like seeing who's going to make the team. And a lot of the guys I think we had pinned pretty early on, and if you've watched season 1, you had a really good idea of who's who. But I think the episode we just got to, episode 6, not quite our midway point because we got 14 episodes of this season, really like started building the hype. The animation was a little bit crisper and more fluid. We're in the middle of the U20 game, and I think it's the perfect time to like dive back in. And even if you were off put by the first episode or two, like you said, catch back up because it's about to get really good. And I think the hype for me has really like gotten
Brought
to a
back.
peak. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm really excited to see how this game plays out because it's a huge deal, and like all the big names are in it.
But but next we have DanDaDan. If you haven't heard of it, honestly, you should check it out. It's another one that's premiering. It is on Netflix, but it's also on Crunchyroll. It is dropping the dub the same time as the sub, which is really nice for some of you. I know I personally, if I have the option, I'm gonna want to watch the dub. It is really good. DanDaDan. The first episode is a little weird, but like it has been such a good anime this season. Borderline my favorite of the season. It is that good. I don't even know how to describe it. It is so unbelievably funny. The story is so good, and the characters are amazing. We talk about a lot on the anime podcast we got that the characters, they are being introduced to us in a way that you just wouldn't expect. You know what I mean? This anime constantly keeps you on your toes. When you look at a character and you think you kind of know the type of character they're gonna be, they'll just keep throwing you off. It's like I don't know. Like I said, this anime is so good at with a great story, great action, amazing characters, really, 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 really funny, and again, constantly just keeping you on your toes. Where like you're constantly wanting more, and you're not expecting a lot of the shit that happens. Where you're just like, yo, this is so good. Again, borderline. I'm gonna say it's tied for my number one. Tied for my number one. My number one that it's also been tied with. Talk about it at the end. It's a hot take. You might get mad at me for it, but you know what? It's okay. So, what do you think about DanDaDan this season?
DanDaDan, I would probably say, is the most popular like premiere this season. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
outstanding. You have really cool characters and great designs. Momo's grandma's outstanding.
Yeah.
Turbo Granny is outstanding. So, you know, should be enough for you right there. No, I'm kidding. But like just the blend of like comedy and like the themes of like the occult and ghosts and aliens, I think is like really different for anime because it's always like some kind of spirit or a villain or like some deity or an evil swordsman. Like it just
Mm-hmm.
feels fresh and unique. And we kind of touched on it on the podcast, kind of how the author came to this like very unique story. But it's really been awesome. We're getting like a really big season, so I think that's another reason to dive into it. Helps you get a little more into the story. But DanDaDan's been extremely good and very unpredictable. I have no idea what's going to happen week to week, and I think that's one of the most exciting parts about it.
But yeah, I highly recommend DanDaDan. It is such a good anime. I really think you're gonna enjoy it. It's just been on another level. It's been incredible, absolutely amazing. Let's talk about a sleeper, right? Because we just talked about like three really popular, amazing animes. Let's talk about a sleeper, one that you called in our fall 2024 preview, and that's Yakuza Fiance. What an awesome anime! That's an anime where it's like if you like Yakuza type stuff, you would absolutely love this anime. It is so like more so hits home on like realism type stuff. You think of Yakuza, it's not the softest topic. You know what I mean? It's pretty rough. It's pretty interesting. People, and I feel like this anime really hits it on the head there. There's some scenes, some moments where it's like really kind of shocking. You're like, oh, wasn't expecting that. But then you think about it, it's
Eh,
like, yep, they're Yakuza. So wait, this makes a lot of sense. So I think if you're into the Yakuza, you're gonna really enjoy this anime. I think the art style is unique and really cool. I think that's something that definitely we both noticed and both liked. I think the story is amazing, and then also the characters are just really, really good. It's just one of those animes where I'm just like really looking forward to it every week. It really, I don't know, it has a charm about it where it's just like, yo, this is good anime.
Dude, perfectly said. I noticed it kind of was given like
Mm-hmm.
90s anime, early 2000s vibes with like the art and the character design, but like it's got really good color, which just makes it enjoyable to watch. But yeah, some of the adult like gang Yakuza themes are a little bit more entertaining and kind of different than what's going on. And it comes out on Monday. I feel like that's rare for an anime, but it just gives you something to watch, on that tough
The-
Monday to get you going through the week. I
exactly.
love that. I love that. And it just kind of adds to like another thing that I didn't expect about this, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, dude, the fact that it comes out on Monday, I feel like is like a huge kind of plus because, like you said, not a lot come out on Monday. But like you look at, Saturday this season's absolutely insane. Thursday this season's absolutely insane. Like when you have animes that drop on those days, it's so hard to pick which one you want because it's such like a loaded day. And then you spend the next few days, like Thursday, it's like packed. Well, then Thursday and Friday, you're really trying to digest that those animes. Hopefully, you can get that done because then Saturday you have another shitload of animes that are dropped on your front door. Have fun with that. That you try to go with was on Sunday as well. You split it up, but as like Monday comes around, start the week. It's like you're like back to the shit, and then you come home, you got some Yakuza Fiance. It's like takes the edge right off. You know what I mean, man? It's just like such a good
Yes.
day to have an anime like that. Now the last two animes that we should talk about in the anime podcast, the Casual podcast. let's put that on the back burner until the end because I feel like we have some better ones to talk about up front, and I feel like we want to get the heavy hitters out first. Let's go to Rama. Rama is only
So
on Netflix, by the way, guys. Only on Netflix. What do you think about it? I love it, bro.
you told me to check it out, and I'm like, yeah, check it out on a whim.
Yeah.
I thought it was one, hysterical.
Yup.
Two, it's a remake of an older show. I don't know when the original came out, but it's done by Mappa. And like in the second episode, there's an incredible scene where they like animate the actual manga panels, but like the full thing is animated. Like the characters are moving, but they're drawn by hand, like they were in the manga. I'm like, dude, that took a ton of time. Looks gorgeous, and it gives that like I don't know, kind of like reminds me of Dragon Ball, like the way some of like the original Dragon Ball,
Mm-hmm.
the way some of the characters are drawn. Very, very funny, like some just ridiculous themes and like situations that they're put in, and a very creative like plot line. I've never seen anything like it, with Ranma being both a boy and a girl, kind of cursed. I mean, he's a boy, but
It's so funny.
hysterical. And it's like one thing I really like about it, and we were kind of talking about this, like there's like etchy scenes, but they're not like really lewd or
No,
like
not at all.
perverted.
Yeah, not at all.
The comedy for me kind of is like the main point, and I wouldn't call it a rom-com. Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it a rom-com, even though there is that like element of romance their family's trying to force on them, which is also very funny. Um, but like just comedy first, and like that kind of like supersedes any of the like real romance or like lewdness in some of the scenes. It's like definitely something I would recommend. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, no, no. So Ranma, when I first kind of saw it, because I'm on Netflix looking at, Blue Box. Go up there every week, watching Blue Box, and I see Ranma keeps popping up. I'm like, all right, what is this? And I see that in the thing it says nudity. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not fucking watching this. They're like, don't get me wrong, I've gone down the slope of degenerate over the past year, but like, watching borderline hentai, anime on Netflix, that's like a bottom I have yet to hit, and
A little
hopefully won't hit.
sus.
Hopefully I won't hit that rock bottom for quite a while. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I am not watching this. I still have some self esteem or some self respect. But then I saw a YouTube short, a couple of them. Like, oh, this actually seems like pretty funny. And like there was this like really cute moment. I'm like, you know what? You know, DanDaDan has a scene in the first episode that gives it like the mature rating for like a while, right? It has that aggressive first episode. I'm like, what if Ranma has the same thing? You know what I mean? And it actually does. You know what I mean? It shows nudity, but it doesn't at all. I always feel like if there's like etchiness or something like that, I'd feel really uncomfortable if someone else was in the room watching. Like parents walk in, something like that.
Fair,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Then it's real weird. But like with Ranma, I wouldn't care because I don't. They did such a good job where like, it doesn't show anything at all. It doesn't. I don't know why it says that. It really. I think it's like for technicality, but like it's fine. And it's one of those things where like anyone could be in the room watching it, and I wouldn't feel weird about it. It's very they took it and made it completely comedic, which was absolutely insane. It is so unbelievably funny. I think it is like a rom com because I do see the romance there, and I think it is sweet. They have this kind of cute moments, but at the same time, the action is really good and it's so funny. It really is so comedic. It's so good, and I'm really starting to look forward to it this weekend because I watched it last week. I started caught completely up. I'm like, dude, you gotta watch this, and then this weekend I'm like, Saturday, all those amazing animes came out. I'm like, Rom was on the top of that list.
Heck yeah, dude. I'm really glad I checked it out. Very, very good suggestion. I'm definitely with it. And I feel like Mappa, I mean, everybody knows Mappa.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 2 was like really impressive to me. And like, I'm always a sucker for animation and like bringing those like manga elements into it, but super well done. Definitely, like you said, on the list every week.
I mean, we've talked about what 5 animes already, and these are all like 5 very strong recommendations. 5 animes that are number one in any other season. You know what I mean? That are just that good. They are heavy, heavy hitters, and we aren't even done yet. I mean, something that you don't watch, but ReZero dropped this season, season 3, and that's been a world of what? What? I mean, they dropped the episode 1 as like a movie. I think it was an hour and a half long. I don't know who told them they had to do that, but I still watched it. It was incredible. Each
We love
episode
it.
has me spinning, like literally like jumping up and down. Like ReZero somehow upped the ante in season 3, and it is beyond incredible. It is insane. Each episode, I'm just so intrigued. I cannot wait to continue to watch it. This season's going to be such a good season, and I'm all for it. I'm so glad that they dropped an hour and a half episode 1 premiere. That was just an absolute treat. And thank you. You know what I mean? So if you are a fan of ReZero, you are, what are we talking about? I know you're loving it. Get out of here. And if you haven't seen ReZero yet, I highly recommend watching it. It is such a good anime. And yeah, I feel like it's an anime that's kind of in a class of its own. It's got quirks and aspects of it where it's like, yeah, this is ReZero. This is good. You know what I mean? All right, guys. So we just dropped 6 amazing animes. Now we're gonna drop 2 more that are absolute killers. Listen, so these 2 we're not gonna go into heavy detail about. One, because the one anime neither of us have seen yet. Well, you've seen it, but not this new season. And the other one is because it's a big debate if it even is an anime or not. Regardless, it's animated and it is absolutely incredible. So these next 2 will be really kind of quick about, but that is Bleach, the Thousand Year Blood War. That is apparently a step above. It's just so good. The animation is top tier, and people cannot talk higher about it. They are absolutely loving it. So if you are caught up with Bleach and you have watched it, it is like 300 some episodes, I believe, right?
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you've seen it, you're gonna absolutely love this. And if you haven't seen it, it is one of the big 3. I don't think you'll regret watching it. It is really good. It's on my list. I'm currently making my way through One Piece, so maybe in 10 to 15 years I will get to Bleach. But I would definitely want to see the Thousand Year Blood War. That looks absolutely incredible, and it seems like it's getting what it should have gotten in the original. You know what I mean? The attention to animation and pacing. So Bleach fans, you guys deserve this. I'm so happy it's what everyone wanted and met the expectations. The other one is Arcane. Listen, I love League of Legends. I know I'm not mentally well. We already knew that. Fuck you. Okay? All
Okay.
right. But League of Legends has their own show now. It's called Arcane, and it is beyond amazing. Like, it is seriously so good. The amount of money that they put into this is incredible. It's why it's not getting a season 3, but we can enjoy it for the first 2 seasons it has. Now, you don't have to play the game to understand the show. The show is its own thing, and it is seriously amazing. Like, I recommend it to you because, like, dude, like, the animation was incredible. The story is phenomenal. The characters are so good. Everyone I recommend it to has come back losing their minds of how much they have loved it, not only because the animation's great, the story's great, the characters are great, and everything about it's great, but also the soundtrack is on another level. If you've dealt with Riot and Riot Games, like, you know. You know what I mean? They make a lot of money and they use it very well. So I highly, 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 highly recommend Arcane. I cannot recommend it higher. Yeah, when I said that I have 2 animes that are tied for number 1, it is DanDaDan and it is Arcane. And Arcane is a Netflix exclusive, just so you know, kind of like Blue Box and Ranma. So that sucks, but if you have Netflix or you're thinking about getting Netflix, it's definitely worth it for at least a month. I mean, there's 3 animes or shows that are really good that you should watch. Someone I recommend too, they just came back, they're like, yo, I just binged 5 episodes, had to come and tell you, it's one of the greatest things I've seen. It's really good. Season 2 is being dropped in 3 parts. 3 episodes each part, and they just dropped part 1, and it was absolutely insane. As someone who plays the game, I know the characters, and I saw at the end of episode 3 them hint 2 of the characters being introduced, and let's just say it's somehow going to get even better. I don't know how, but like, Arcane is an absolute gem. If you have a friend you're trying to get into anime, I think it's a good one to kind of show because it has a production level that is just godly. You know what I mean? Like, what were your thoughts? If you started Arcane, what were your thoughts on it?
So like the first couple episodes, like one of the things, well, I'll say 2 of the things that really stood out immediately were the soundtrack, very immersive, like
Mm-hmm.
extremely well done, like really, really cool songs. And literally like whatever type of music you're into, even outside of the show, they have like really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen everything, so I don't know if all the songs are in, different episodes or whatever. But also like the animation and the coloring and like fluidity of everything, very enjoyable to watch. I don't even want to say easy because like half the time you're like good. Like honestly, I was really impressed, and I can't wait to finish finish like the first part and get caught up before these next 3 episodes drop, which I think is sick too. Like, there's nothing wrong with getting an episode a week, but getting 3 to kind of like binge through the weekend is like kind of a treat. I like that.
Should give you guys a warning too. These episodes are 40 minutes long, so like you're getting nearly 2 hours of show, which is like, let's be honest. If they dropped all 9, I would watch all 9 in one sitting. Don't underestimate me. It is that good. So yeah, I highly recommend it. I think you would absolutely love it. It is. Yeah, it's built different. It's worth it. But these 8 now that we've told you guys about, again, are like the highest tier animes. They are just so unbelievably good, and the fact that we have 8 of them this season, doesn't feel real. Like, that's absolutely incredible. We're gonna be spoiled. I mean, how are we gonna deal with the winter season? Like that, we have more to talk about. That's still really, really, really good. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like as somebody who's watched anime since like, like the Toonami days and Adult Swim and like some of those early 2000 animes that are still like really, really good and hold up well. This has been probably the best season in a maybe ever. Like as far as the depth and overall quality of like all these animes coming out at once. And like some are different streaming sites, so like people might not get onto it, right now or this week or whatever. But just to have all this stuff released at once has really, really impressed me. And like, there's stuff we're not even watching just because of time, and you know what I mean. Like, you can only really watch so much, and there's stuff you will end up coming back to, and yeah, just top tier, man. Really good stuff.
all right, now as we get into the last couple, we're gonna speed around this because we don't want this to be a 3-hour video, but we can easily do that. Don't
Right?
tempt us. So, kind of getting into some of the other ones. I want to talk about Demonlord 2099 real quick. This is an anime that I saw a bunch of clips about. I was like, okay, let me just check this out. If we're going to make a recap, like a little check-in of the fall 2024 season, like this, I feel like I just wanted to check out. Especially I looked at it, and it was like rated 4.7 Crunchyroll. It means it's pretty good. So good. So good. Pretty much you have this fantasy world where like the demon lord resided and the hero, and then you have Earth, and they like somehow collided, and it's like mixed now, so they have a mix of human technology with magic, and it's pretty crazy. Now we kind of talked about it before we did this video about how anime is kind of becoming more like adult, not like in a bad way, but just like in a normal casual way, which has been kind of nice. Definitely see it here. It's funny how this demon lord's now in this like futuristic city in 2099. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, what's going on? And you see VTubers on billboards just live streaming.
That's a real thing, baby. I've seen the HoloLive commercials, and I'm living for it, baby.
Bro, I saw it. I started crying, and it's funny because then you see a hacker, and the hacker like hacks the billboards, and he just has porn ads, and and everyone's like on the streets looking up, and they're like, "Oh my god, my eyes!" And it's like, of course, all censored, but like it had me crying. I did not expect this anime, which is like kind of like the basic demon lord anime. You know what I mean? Be so funny. Like, it's so comedic. It is just so good. It's actually intriguing to watch. You know what I mean? He comes in this world and he's like weak, and he's like, oh, I gotta get a job. He's a streamer. It's just really funny watching this dude become a streamer. It kind of reminds me of that the one where I forget what it is. It's the like Satan gets a job at McDonald's. I forget. You know the anime I'm talking about. It's really
Devil's
good.
a part-timer.
Yeah, really good
Classic.
anime. Really good. It reminds me of that. It's got some solid animation. It's really, really, really comedic and really funny. And I think you would absolutely love it. I feel like a lot of people would actually like really enjoy it. Going into 365 Days to the Wedding, a nice romance anime. We have a bunch of them, a ton of them this season. This one is more on the adult side, like not like it's more on the adult side where like they're adults. It's not some high school romance. It's two really awkward people working at this travel agency. And it's like, hey guys, we're opening up a new office in Alaska. We need someone to go run it. But since it's such a burden to have someone go to Alaska, we're only going to pick single people out of like out of the pool of single people. So these two super awkward people were like, hey, let's pretend to get married so we don't get picked. And of course, people are suspicious of that because the next day they come in like, oh, by the way, we're getting married. We forgot to tell you guys. They're like, yeah, okay. You know what I mean? So it's now them pretending like they're getting married, starting to get to know each other. And again, just the character development. You know what I mean? Them, becoming, just better versions of themselves, working on some of their weaknesses. It really is kind of like wholesome. It's sweet, and it's a good romance anime. I've really enjoyed it so far. It's not the most entertaining. It's not like super action packed, but it's like really like sweet. It's really like wholesome. It's really like funny too. I've really enjoyed it, and I've been very surprised about it. And again, sometimes the high school romances, they get really worn out, boring, and just old. So when you see one of the older ones, it's nice. You know what I mean? Uh, then going to Shangri la Frontier. Shangri la Frontier is dropping season 2. Season 1 was absolutely awesome. I see a lot of people hated on season 1, and for really dumb reasons, in my opinion. The whole thing is that typically you have like a really OP character, and then they just kill everything. People actually got upset that he wasn't OP. You know what I mean? He's a guy who's like really good at video games. Like think of like Elden Ring and like Dark Soul games. He's the kind of guy that would just breeze right through them on like the hardest difficulties without any handicaps. Not using a mimic, not using any like meta builds. Like he's just very good. He plays a lot of old games that have a lot of glitches in them and still finds a way to beat them. Like he's a gamer. Bro's a gamer. You know what I mean? And pretty much in the first season he was against this boss that was super difficult to beat. Well, he couldn't beat, and it was pretty much like, hey, just survive. So it's him running around trying to survive against this boss, which is still entertaining, and that's what people got mad about because we finally have a big fight and he's just running. So if you can get past that, which I don't know why people couldn't, I didn't mind it at all. When I got to that part, I was like, this is what people are bitching about. Like that's crazy. It's really really good. The fight at the end of the season is phenomenal. It's like a 3 episode masterclass. It is really really good. It's a really if you're a gamer, like you're just gonna enjoy it. You're gonna find a lot of like scenes and moments that you can relate to, a lot of characters you can relate to, and you're just really it's gonna hit home. Season 2, just picked up right where season 1 left off. It's really really good. I'm absolutely loving it, and Shangri-La is one of my, you know, just cozy animes, man. I just really enjoy it. I'm really happy that season 2 is out, and I'm really happy that season 2 is going the way it's going. I recommend that to you as well. And let's kind of get into. Should we talk about Villainess? I'm gonna go down the road as the greatest Villainess. That's an anime that we haven't
Yeah,
talked about in a while, but we both kind of watched. That's another anime that's really good as well. I've been enjoying it. I think it's funny. You know how this girl's just like, oh, I'm being thrown in. I'm being isekai'd into my favorite video game. I want to become a badass villainess that just causes mayhem and chaos.
really interesting premise, and like there's so much kind of going on
Mm-hmm.
between with all the different animes and work and all that. Like I haven't gotten past episode 3 yet, but I love the premise and I think it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So when things slow down a little bit, I'm definitely gonna watch the rest of it. But yeah, it's just kind of funny how like she gets isekai into her favorite game, and her first thought was like, I'm gonna be evil. I want to be like a villainess. But it also starts her as like a young character. She's not just like fully grown and like OP right away,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was like kind of like realistic and interesting intro into it.
Yeah, like two things that I really liked is that first of all, it also shows her hard work. She decides that hey, I want to put in the work to get super strong and to work on the
True.
things I need to work on. But then also something they talk about at Demonlord 2099 is like kind of a spoiler for I think the second episode. But like they talk about it, and it's actually talked about in a lot of different animes. But whenever the great hero comes and slays the demon lord or the villainess per se, who do you think becomes the next enemy? Right after the anime ends, it's the hero. The hero ends up always getting thrown as like, oh well, we don't need you anymore, but you're also super strong and powerful. You're a threat to us now. It's the basic bullshit, hypocrisy of humanity, right? And a lot of animes touch on that. It's really kind of cool. So that's why I kind of like when we have the animes where people are like obsessed with being the villainess or the villain. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's kind of cooler in a way, and it's not as I don't know. I feel like being the hero is boring, and it's not like she's like super evil. She's just like she wants to start a little bit of chaos. You know what I mean? We see her going to this
Yeah.
very poor village and helping them out. That's someone who's actually like caring about people that need it. You know what I mean? So she's not like an awful person. She's a badass person. That's what she is.
That's a very good point. She's not a bad person. And like there's scenes where she's like studying and like building her skills and like to
Mm-hmm.
make her OP rather than just like becoming overpowered, which I thought was cool too.
Yeah. So it's solid. If you like those kind of animes, I honestly recommend it. I think it's solid and I think it's enjoyable. I think people like it. Again, I think people like any of these animes. They are solid. Two left. You are Miss Servant. You are Miss Servant's really kind of cool. It kind of gives you, your Forger vibes. We have this assassin Yuki who is just an absolute beast, an absolute killer. Ends up deciding that she ends up finding a new master and ends up deciding that like, hey, I kind of want to like be normal. And he kind of helps her, try to find normalcy. Try to learn and grow from that and not being this cold-hearted assassin. A lot of really cute moments, a lot of really funny moments. It has a really intriguing story. These last two animes we're talking about here, they could be a little bit better. You know what I mean? With a season this stacked of this primo animes, we could look to see this for these to get just heat up a little bit more. But right now, they are still very solid animes. I still recommend them. I think they're solid, and I think that they do have the capability to take that next step. If we can get more into Yuki's backstory, have more obstacles kind of thrown in their way, I feel like it's gonna continue to just absolutely shine. It's a really good, relaxing anime to just kind of kick back on and just chill and just watch it, and just it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, it's got like a different pace than a lot of the animes that we
Mm-hmm.
had just mentioned, and it's really wholesome, which I think is cool. There's some really cute and funny moments, and nothing like too overly serious so far, which I think is kind of a good mix for everything else, like either emotionally or like physically with the battles that are going on. Like it's a nice different pace. Yuki's obviously an adorable character, and
Mm-hmm.
Hitayoshi's like a good MC. And there's still like some intrigue with like the plot line and the story that I want to get to the bottom of. So I definitely think it's worth watching if you have the time. But like you said, not the most like action packed or exciting anime if you're like really going hard this season. But definitely worth watching. I've really liked Miss Servant, and yeah, Yuki gives like young Yor Forger vibes, but
Oh, 100%.
trying to be normal. Yeah, I love it.
And then we have Blue Miburo. I think that's how you say it. That's also really good too. If you like old school, like kind of, I don't know, like back in the day, shogunate, samurai kind of animes, this one is definitely for you. It has a really nice animation style. The animation's really cool. I think the art style is really nice. Really cool characters. We hopefully are going to get more into them. The problem with this anime is that like it came out later, so we don't have as much of a sample size as the other ones. You know what I mean? So we're waiting for that to kind of get into it more. But the characters we've met so far are really, really cool. They're really funny, really, just greatly. They're designed really well. You know what I mean? And the story seems like it's gonna be very intriguing. It is a slower burn, so we are waiting for it to start to pick up more. But I mean, with the amount of animation, the amount of work that's gone into the animation and the potential the story has, I definitely have high hopes and think that it can absolutely, start to ramp up and just dominate towards the end of the season. I feel like it's gonna be really, really good. And if you like that kind of anime, like the, old school kind of stuff, I feel like you're really gonna enjoy it. The main character Neo, it's a really cool dude. It's him joining this wolf pack per se, but they're not what they seem to be. So I recommend checking it out. It could be perfect for you. What have you thought about it?
I think like you said, compared to where we're at in the actual season, like it's a few episodes behind because of a later debut. So we don't really have too much into the story, but there's a lot of promise there, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it'll really be fun to follow Neo on this journey. Yeah, like Neo's journey, I think will be a lot of fun to follow. He's with these older guys who are supposed to be like savage samurai. They protect the town, but they're definitely not kind of what they're painted to be in the beginning. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it is a slow burn, so maybe it's one you let get a couple episodes in front of and then watch a bunch at once. But I'm excited for it. I think it's very easy to watch. It's easy on the eyes. Everybody loves a classic MC with white hair and blue eyes.
Oh, always broken. Always OP.
Yeah. But like he's very emotionally intelligent, which I think is cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. Hopefully we get a little more action and it starts to pick up over the next few weeks, because it does start a little bit slower compared to
Which
the
it
other
seems like
stuff.
it's doing this past week. It definitely seems like it's starting to pick up or
Yes.
go in that direction. So again, we have so many animes that we just dropped. Tried to as fast as possible, but I mean it's a bit of a lengthy video that you'd expect from this topic. But like,
Yeah.
there's that much heat this season. Like there truly is. There are so many good ones. Highly recommend checking them out. Recommend them to a friend. I mean, it's the season of eating, boys. It's like you thought Thanksgiving you're gonna be stuffed with. Then I mean, bro, this is our anime Thanksgiving. But
So true. So true, dude.
but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know down below. Is there an anime that you're watching that we didn't recommend this season, or didn't talk about? Because if you're saying it's good, we'll check it out. And which anime this season has been your favorite, your go-to, your number one? That is it, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying. And peace.